Welcome, delegates, to Track 2 Technology. Let us welcome the first presenter, Muhammad Nur Akid bin Kamal Arifin, with his final year project titled The Usage of Telegram by Teachers to Increase ESL Students' Participation in Learning During Online Classes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nur Akid bin Kamal Arifin, and today I would like to present my final year project entitled The Usage of Telegram by Teachers to Increase ESL Students' Participation in Learning During Online Classes. Next, for my problem statement, is to find out the difficulties by the teacher when using Telegram as online platform. Other than that, for my research objective, there are 3 points that I would like to point out, which are how this platform can increase students' participation in online class, what are the challenges that the teacher face when using this as their online platform, and why did Telegram being chosen as online platform by the teacher for their teaching. For my research question, I have 3 research questions that I would like to told, which are to find out the challenges and problems that were faced by the teacher and ESL students in using Telegram as their learning online platform. Other than that, I would like to observe the advantages and disadvantages about the platform when the student use it. And lastly, to determine if the Telegram platform can help to increase the participation of ESL students in online classes. We're moving on into the methodology. So for this research, I use mixed data collection, and for the instrument, I use close-ended question. Questionnaire survey consists of 5 Likert scale and also teacher's reflection entry. So, move on to the finding. 18 of 25 students agree that Telegram should be normalized as a medium for online classes. And also, what I found based on the data that I gathered from the questionnaire, 72% of the students agree that Telegram can be used as their online platform. And lastly, I would like to talk about the limitation during my research and also my hopes for this research. So as we know, this Telegram only being used widely when pandemic COVID-19 hit our world. So that there are not much research about this because of the usage of Telegram for online classes only being introduced when all the schools in our country being closed due to COVID-19. And also, I hope that this research will be materialized to allow further studies regarding this topic in the upcoming years. Lastly, I would like to thank all of the persons that helped me throughout this process and throughout this until I finish my final year project. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Next presenter, Eva Justin, on her final year project titled The Perceptions of Pre-Service Teachers Towards WhatsApp as the Teaching and Learning Platform.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day everyone. My name is Eva binti Justin and my final project title is Pre-Service Teachers Perception Towards WhatsApp as a Teaching and Learning Platform. Now let's move on with the problem statement of this research. Due to the appearance of COVID-19, it has impacted the education sector very much. So, in order to make sure that students are still learning despite staying at home, they have implemented a new way of learning which is through a virtual learning. One of the applications that has been used is WhatsApp, which brings us to the research objectives, where it investigates and analyzes the advantages and challenges of WhatsApp as a teaching and learning platform, which also brings us to the research questions on what are the advantages of WhatsApp as a teaching and learning platform and how will the challenges affect the use of WhatsApp as a teaching and learning platform. Literature review. WhatsApp as a secondary education classroom. Pudianto and Arifani mentioned that utilize the use of WhatsApp as the main learning tool or platform for high schools due to COVID-19 outbreak. Impact of WhatsApp. Durgangas and Durgangas mentioned that WhatsApp promotes learners' empowerment as they have better control at their learning activities. Methodology. Quantitative research was used in this research. The instrument was questionnaire, while the participants were the ESL pre-service teachers who had done their LM1 or practical. There were only 46 valid responses from the survey. Results. So the top 2 advantages of WhatsApp as the teaching and learning platform are free, promotes communication between student and student, teacher and student, and learning can be done anytime and anywhere. While the challenges of WhatsApp as a teaching and learning platform are message flooding, a huge amount of learning materials which cause confusion between the students, and lastly, there were no efforts given by the students. In conclusion, the advantages of WhatsApp as a teaching and learning platform overrule the challenges. This is because some of the challenges can actually be solved. For example, message flooding can be solved by creating smaller groups, while a huge amount of learning materials can be curbed by combining and simplifying it into short and simple notes. And that is all from me. Thank you.
Next presenter, Nurul Izzah binti Teruna on her final year project titled The Use of YouTube to Enhance Students' Engagement in Speaking Activities in ESL Classroom.
Hello, a good day I bid to our respectful lecturers and my fellow friends. My name is Nurul Izzah and I'm going to present on my topic, the use of YouTube to enhance students' engagement in speaking activities in ESL classroom. The first point that I'm going to talk about for this topic is problem statement. During the COVID-19 pandemic, students and teachers were obligated to continue the lessons via online. This is where the issue started. Students getting more and more demotivated due to the online learning and resulted the declining of the students' engagement in classroom. Next, the research objectives. The research objectives for the studies are to identify the factors of decrease or declining of students' engagement in English classroom. Second, the study also investigates the relationship between students' attitude towards the use of YouTube and the behavioral attention to the use of YouTube. In order to meet the ideal answer for the objective, research questions are set to meet the findings. The questions are: what are the factors for the declining in students' engagement during English lesson? The second question for this research is: do the students give more response during lessons when the teacher uses YouTube? as one of the teaching aids in class. Moving on to the methodology of the study, the research approach that I have chose for this study are qualitative and quantitative approach. As for the sampling, the subjects of the research itself will consist of 20 students, 7 male and 13 female students that are from Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 and Form 5 students. As for the instruments of this study, I chose a video recording of a class and a questionnaire that consists of 15 items. Next, the finding of this research. There were 7 male and 13 female students that were involved with this study. Based on the questionnaire that had been distributed among 20 students, these are the factors that influence the declining of the students' engagement. There are 5 possible factors, and the most possible factors that have been chosen by the students are learning content and material, and teachers' competences and teaching styles that leads to the declining of the students' engagement. We move to the third part of the questionnaire. The third part of the questionnaire is touching about the YouTube use in ASL classroom. Most of the students agree that YouTube have given them more opportunity and chance to learn better English. YouTube also gives them more exposure to authentic English itself in terms of the pronunciations and boosting their confidence in speaking English with their friends. The conclusion of this study: we as teachers need to take an initiative to explore more on the internet and YouTube, as it helps us to boost and enhance our teaching skills and teaching methods. The YouTube use and the internet use are good for the students, as it helps them to learn better in English and acquire the certain qualities as the second language learner. That's all for me. Have a good day. Thank you.
Next presenter, Natasha Wanis binti Sya'rani, on her final year project titled The Online Learning Tools Used by Pre-Service Teachers During Their Teaching Practical.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Natasha Wanis binti Sya'rani and I am a TESOL student in semester 7 from UPSI. Now, I will be presenting my final year project with a title of The Online Learning Tools Used by Pre-Service Teachers During Their Teaching Practical. Due to COVID-19, the education system in the world, including Malaysia, have shifted to a fully online learning mode. Coincidentally, the pre-service teachers also did their teaching practical in a new learning style in which they were required to teach students in an online class setting. Having said that, the pre-service teachers who did their practicum in Malaysian schools have their own perspectives and difficulties when it comes to adapting and using online learning resources to teach students at various levels of proficiency. In light of these stated problems, this study is being researched to explore the pre-service teachers' use of the online learning tools when teaching the students in an online classroom during their teaching practical. There are 3 research objectives in this research study, which are to identify types of online learning tools used by the pre-service teachers during teaching practical and to study the perception as well as the challenges faced by pre-service teachers on using online learning tools during their teaching practical. Same goes for research questions, which are what are the types of online learning tools used by the pre-service teacher during their teaching practical. Next one is what are the pre-service teachers' perception and what are the challenges and problems faced by them when using the online learning tools. As for the literature review, the perception of the pre-service teachers on using the online learning tools are parallel with the previous study made by Gavin Ferk and Ross D. 2015, in which they mentioned that to support the development of the integrated skills and build teachers' comfort with technology will require a strong commitment from the pre-service teachers themselves. That means, regardless of all these past studies, this shift of adapting online learning tools will be challenging for some of the pre-service teachers. Moving on to methodology, I have employed a mixed method for my research. This is necessary because from this mixed method, I analyze the data by using descriptive analysis for quantitative, and then I use thematic analysis to gather qualitative data. For this research, there are several instruments that are used to collect sufficient data, such as observation checklists of 2 video recordings, self-reflective entry, and survey questionnaire. As for the survey questionnaire, I have distributed it to 31 pre-service teachers who did their teaching practicum to answer the close-ended question via Google Form. Moreover, I also use instruments such as observation checklist based on the 2 video recordings and self-reflective entry from my perspective as a pre-service teacher. And from the result, the first finding showed that the pre-service teacher had implemented and used variety online learning tools in an online classroom, such as Quizzes, Kahoot, and WordWall. Besides, from the second finding, the pre-service teachers believe that using online learning tools in the online classroom could encourage them to be innovative, highly motivated, gain new experience, and would improve their computer skills. And finally, for the third finding, it can be concluded that some pre-service teachers encountered difficulties such as taking longer time to do preparation, had limited access to online tools, encountered technical problems, and experienced poor internet connection. Hence, it shows that all the 3 research questions has been successfully achieved through these findings. Therefore, online learning tool is such a crucial element that needs to be implemented in teaching the students in the classroom setting. That is why every pre-service teacher should take this issue of integrating the online learning tools into consideration. The reason is because the suitability of the online learning tools would give great impact in the students' learning process. Moreover, the pre-service teachers also gain benefits from this research because using online learning tools indicates that they are following the current trend in 21st century learning as they act as an instructor for their students that will help them achieve their teaching goals. That is all from me. Thank you.
Next presenter, Victor Canson Anak Comik, on his final year project titled Students' Perceptions of Game-Based Learning Kahoot in ESL Classroom.
Good day, everyone. My name is Victor Canson Anak Comik. Today, I'm going to present my final year project entitled Students' Perceptions of Game-Based Learning Kahoot in ESL Classroom. What are the research problem statements for this research? Students' participation in classroom activities is incredibly important in order to learn and develop critical thinking skills. However, researchers have faced lack of participation from the classroom students during the lessons. Researchers want to know if using Kahoot can help to solve this problem. There are 2 research questions for this project. The first one is, what are the students' perceptions of Kahoot? And second research question is, what are the benefits of using Kahoot in ESL classroom? There are 2 research objectives. The first research objective is to determine the students' perceptions of Kahoot. And research objective 2 is to determine the benefits of using Kahoot in the ESL classroom. Next, we move on to the literature review. According to Delos 2015, game-based learning may be a best practice in education, and finding ways to integrate competitive games within the classroom that promote learning is important for educators within the 21st century. And also, according to Putri 2019, Kahoot has impacted positively on the interactions within the classroom, students' motivation and engagement. Okay, next, we move on to the research design. The research design was action research. This study was designed using a quantitative approach. Quantitative research method contains items that are measurable and presented using the statistical method. Okay, so for the samples, 13 female and 7 male students who were studying at SMK Bau agreed to participate in the study as a total of 20 participants. Okay, so for the instrument, a questionnaire with a total of 20 questions was adapted from Ismail and Mohammad's 2017 study. Participants responded to questions 1 to 20 on a 5-point Likert scale type. Okay, so next we move on to the finding. Findings for the first research questions. What are the students' perceptions of Kahoot? This graph shows the result on the students' perceptions of Kahoot. Based on the analysis of data collected, most of the students gave positive feedback, agree and strongly agree for each item regarding their perceptions of using Kahoot. Okay, next, for the second research question, what are the benefits of using Kahoot in ESL classroom? Okay, so this graph shows the results on the benefits of using Kahoot in the ESL classroom. Based on the analysis of data collected, most of the students gave positive feedback, agree, and strongly agree for each item regarding the benefits of using Kahoot in the ESL classroom. In conclusion, in order to participate all students to learning process, Kahoot can be used as an efficient strategy in class. The researcher observed that Kahoot helped in creating a learning experience that was described as fun, which contributed to useful classroom engagement dynamics. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next presenter, Chu Zilwan, on her final year project titled The Use of Online Quiz in Online Classroom.
Greetings everyone, this is my final year project video presentation. My name is Chu and this is my matrix number. My title of my project is The Use of Online Quiz in Online Classroom and my supervisor is Dr. Mazlin M. Mokhtar. So for the first problem statement, research objective and research questions, they are all rebound to what and why. What are the type of online quiz that they are used in online classroom, and also what are the reasons online quiz are used in online classroom. For literature review, quiz, the definition is a competition or game to test knowledge. The relationship of quiz and English language learning can be identified to intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic is whereby the students are motivated from the inside by the challenges in the quiz, they wish to do more. And extrinsic is like rewards, bonus points provided by the teachers or the quiz itself. For the reasons, quiz can be identified as a game-based learning because there are fun elements inside which trigger the students' interest and motivate them to do or be engaged in the classroom. For methodology, there are two types of methods. First is qualitative. I use reflective journal entry to survey about my reasons to use quiz. Quantitative, lesson plan table. So I have counted how many times I've used quiz and what are the types. In general, Google Form questionnaire is for me to survey about the practicum teachers. So what are they using, what type of quiz, and what are the reasons they use quiz. So for lesson plan table, I have used 5 Google Forms and 1 quizzes in my 8 video recording. So there are 2, I have used none. Reflective journal entry, I use quiz as an assessment tool to trigger students' interest, to motivate them. And the most important thing is I use quiz only in postage. What type of online quiz I have seen by my respondents they have used? They have used Google Form, Quizzes, and Kahoot. These are the top 3 quiz they have used. So there are 4 pictures and to discover the reasons. So for the pre-lesson, my respondents mostly use quiz to increase students' attendance, and that is very surprising because I have never thought of that using it in pre-lesson. Also, never thought of that quiz can increase student attendance. For WOW lesson, my respondents focusing on keep students engaged and also test students' understanding. This is similar to my reflective journal entry, which is used as an assessment tool and to motivate the students. And for the third part, quiz as an in-class formative assessment tool for the post-lesson. So my respondents have used it to test student understanding, assessment tool, revision tool to do revision, and also to replace traditional hard copy homework as the students need to take photo from the hard copy and upload it. It is very troublesome, so quiz can be effective here. And for the last part, I use quiz to get an immediate assessment result. So quiz with the auto marking system, it can give the respondents, not only the teachers or the student, an immediate result, which is a very effective assessment tool. So for the last one, quiz as a general teaching aid. So quiz can be used mostly to increase motivation, which is very similar to my reflective journal entry. That is my own reason that quiz can be used to increase students' motivation. In addition, motivation is similar to my literature review result, which is intrinsic and extrinsic. So it triggers students from the inside that the challenge of the quiz they wish to conquer, and from the extrinsic, the teacher may provide rewards, bonus point, or even a sense of achievement that the quiz have given to the students has motivated them from the outside. As a conclusion, I should vary the type of quiz that I have used, not only focusing on Google Form, Quizizz, and Kahoot. These are the major quiz that everybody is focusing it. By searching for more possibility, exploring more quiz, so that I can give my students a more suitable platform. And after that, use quiz in pre-stage to increase attendance. So I should try to use quiz in pre-stage just to test out that if quiz is really can increase attendance. So that is all from me. Thank you.
Next presenter, Chelsea Anna Thompson, on her final year project titled Using Online Game-Based Learning Word Wall to Develop Secondary School Students' Motivation to Learn Grammar.
Hello and good day everyone. My name is Chelsea Anna Thompson and the title of my final year project is Using Online Game-Based Learning Word Wall to Develop Secondary School Student Motivation to Learn Grammar in Bau District. For my research purpose, to study the use of online game-based learning word wall to develop student motivation in learning grammar, and the problem of my research is lack of motivation among learners to learn grammar. There are 3 research objectives and research questions. For the first research objective is to identify factors that affect student motivation to learn grammar, to list what were factors that influence student motivation to learn grammar, and the third objective are to study student attitudes toward usage of digital games word wall in developing their motivation to learn grammar. Meanwhile, for the research question, the first research question are what are the factors that affect student motivation to learn grammar? How does game-based learning word wall influence student motivation to learn grammar? And the last research question are what are student attitude toward the usage of digital games word wall in developing their motivation to learn grammar? For my literature review, based on past research, games have a great pedagogical value and provide teachers with numerous benefits. Besides, it plays a significant role in changing student preferences and behavior. In addition, this learning theory also influences their motivation intrinsically and extrinsically. For my methodology, the approach I'm using is mixed method approach and the setting is Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Bau Kuching Sarawak, and my participants are Form 4 students in SMK Bau. For my research instrument, I'm using questionnaire, semi-structured interview, and observation. For my data analysis technique, I'm using descriptive statistic analysis and thematic analysis. For the first finding of research question 1, based on the finding, a few extrinsic and intrinsic factors affect their motivation to learn grammar. Although this factor might affect their performances in the lesson, they are aware of the importance of learning grammar and how it will affect their daily life. For the finding of research question 2, according to the finding, these factors help boost student motivation to learn grammar, and at the same time, it also helps students overcome their discomfort and feel relaxed in the grammar lesson. Last, for finding of research question 3, most of the students agree that digital apps will help them to learn grammar, but some still believe that there is no ideal way to learn grammar. Their motivation can be influenced in various ways, whether through games or a traditional teaching approach. To conclude, students clearly state that WordWorld are suitable to develop their motivation to learn grammar because it provides them with an environment for them to practice the language in an informative way. As a suggestion, the teacher may use WordWorld as a platform to motivate students because the study proved the value of WordWorld in helping to develop student motivation to learn grammar. That's all for my presentation. Thanks for listening.
Next presenter, Wan Nur Akila binti Wan Aziz, on her final year project titled The Perception of Form 1 Students at SMK Abi Towards the Incorporation of Technology into English Lesson Implementations.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Nur Akila binti Wan Aziz, and today I'll be presenting my research topic. My metric number is 2018-108-2687. My supervisor name is Mr. Hadi alias Junadi bin Hussein, and my research topic is the perception of Form 1 student at SMK Abi towards the incorporation of technology into English lesson implementation. The problem statement of my study is how are the Form 1 students at SMK Abi are reacting towards technology-based learning being implemented into their English lesson. So the students at SMK Abi, they are from remote area, which means that they are not familiar and not well exposed to technology in education. So they rarely use technology in their English classroom, and I wanted to see how they are adapting to the new environment of learning after the school had to close down and they had to go through online classes for a few months. For the research study, the first one is to study the individual notion of the Form 1 student at SMK Abi towards the incorporation of technology in English lesson. The second one is to ascertain the kind of technology being used in English lesson. As for the research question, there are two of them too. The first one is how are the individual's notion of the Form 1 student at SMK Abi towards the incorporation of technology in English lesson. The second one is what kind of technology incorporated in the English lesson. For the literature review of this study, I have managed to find some past reviews and researches that I could use for these studies. There were only few researches that were conducted in growing country like Malaysia that related to the topic of my study. Thankfully, all of the reviews and researches that I found were able to be used for me to complete this study. For this research methodology, I use quantitative method where I use the questionnaire and distribute all of them to the student at Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Abi. The setting of the study is at SMK Abi, where I asked the principal permission to distribute all of the questionnaire, and the participants are all Form 1 student at SMK Abi, but I only selected 40 of them to do the research. For the result and finding of this study, after analyzing the data I collected from the questionnaires, most of the students, they are mostly giving positive feedback on all of the questions, and only the few of them that gave negative feedback. The conclusion I made based from the results and the finding of this study, most of the Form 1 students show positive results in their perception towards the incorporation of technology in English lesson. And now for the future research, the recommendation that I will make is changing the student perception towards technology in English lesson for better results in learning and teaching. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Next presenter, Kartika anak perempuan Murthy on her final year project titled Lesson Gamification in Attracting Students' Interest during Online Teaching Among Form 4 Students in Kinta District.
Good day everyone, my name is Kartika Murthy, matrix number D2018108469, supervisor's name Dr. Muhammad Hanif bin Muhammad Tahir. The topic of my FYP is lesson gamification in gaining students' interest during online teaching among Form 4 students in Kinta District. The objective of the study is to implement educational games into everyday online teaching in order to persuade students to learn English more actively in class. Multiple problems were faced during online teaching, such as ineffectiveness of online teaching, my lack of engagement with the students and their lack of motivation during online class, and repetitive cramming of knowledge during teaching. This research will publicize the benefits that it will bring towards students learning English language in a Form 4 classroom. The common questions asked when this topic comes to mind are: what effects do they have over the students' motivation and performance? Which edutainment game is more effective on students? What other benefits do the games bring that help students with their English? What game elements is the most crucial for it to be an educational game? For literature review part, based on the other documentations, gamification aims on learners' motivation to reach a desired behavioral change. Gamification also focuses on three factors about the learners, which are motivation, ability or simplicity, and triggers. Gamification has many definitions, but the most distinguishing feature is its use of game components, such as reward systems, to inspire players to partake in an activity that they would otherwise find boring. For the past research, an example of gamification would be presented by Dr. Pavel Lizal, who implemented multiple applications that summarize feedback and fun quizzes systems for the class. Online questionnaires also allowed him to collect lots of answers in a short amount of time and displayed the percentages on screen for all to see. Another example that doesn't use technology would be Megan Ellis. Students' points would be deducted if they misbehaved and would gain points by scoring high in tests. The class would receive a present if they performed better than other classes. This encouraged the lazy students to work harder, and Megan did not use any type of technology but only used pen and paper. As for the methodology and research instruments, the study relies on a survey research method of obtaining data, which includes a semi-structured interview, a guided response questionnaire, and through naturalistic observation. As for the research instruments, the semi-structured interview picks out 10 students to gather data. The questions ask changes depending on their answers. Next, the guided response questionnaire asks specific questions that directly gives feedback to the research questions. Naturalistic observation is used so that the students won't act awkward out of being too nervous. As for the data and sample, the Google form has shown that the primary factor in the students' lack of motivation lies in the teacher's attitude during lessons. We should try to bring a more positive classroom environment as the students would achieve better. Students also seem to prefer Kahoot more since they have a simplistic design and helps the students with their quick thinking along with learning grammar skills. By comparing others' research and mine, many concluded that students have shown significant increase in motivation and have picked up various social skills as well as English skills after the implementation of gamification. Most students learned not only grammar rules but new vocabulary and how to utilize them in an essay. The most suitable design is an education game that's flashy and eye-catchy so that the students will be more excited to learn. I would like to thank everyone for listening to my research presentation, and I hope that future research can bring the benefits of gamification to light. Thank you very much again.
Next presenter, Nur Iwani Fazlina binti Muhammad Zawawi on her final year project titled The Use of Kahoot in ESL Reading Lessons among Secondary Students in Kinta District.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Nur Iwani Fazlina binti Muhammad Zawawi with metric number D2018108269. Today, I would like to present on my final year project entitled The Use of Kahoot in ESL Reading Lessons among Secondary Students in Kinta District. The problem statement for this study is to determine the root cause of the lack of motivation of students in learning, especially in learning the English language as a second language. I have same experience with this problem, so I come out with the solution where I use the application Kahoot in my lesson. There are 3 research questions and 2 research objectives for this study. The research questions are to identify the students' general perceptions of Kahoot, to state the advantages of using Kahoot in ESL reading lessons, to study the disadvantages of using Kahoot in ESL reading lessons. The research objectives are: what are the students' general perceptions of Kahoot? Why do students prefer to use Kahoot in ESL reading lessons? What are the disadvantages of using Kahoot in ESL reading lessons? There are a few case studies that I have found during this project. According to Wenkel and Blissinger, these technologies provide educators with many new possibilities and opportunities to enhance and transform how to connect with the students. I believe that technology do helps the teacher to make sure the students take part in the lesson in the classroom. The second one, according to Yunus, Osman, and Ishaq, language learners have a higher tendency to have a positive attitude and higher motivation when they are offered environmental factors that are supportive. Especially teachers, they play a huge responsibility to make sure the students are engaged in the lessons. Now, I will explain on the methodology for this project. The research design is survey research. The research instrument are questionnaire, semi-structured interview, and observation. The questionnaire, I have prepared 25 questions with the last 2 questions is an open-ended questions. For answered the research questions 2 and 3. Semi-structured interview will be held among secondary students, and observations will be used to collect data from the teachers and pre-service teachers. The finding that I have for this project is the students say that they have fun with the use of the application Kahoot during learning in the reading lesson, because there are several features in the Kahoot that make them interested and excited to participate in the activity. Whereas the disadvantages for this use of Kahoot is more to internet connection, because there are several students that are unable to take part in the lesson because they not have a strong Wi-Fi to take part. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening.
Next presenter, Daryl Billy Anak Roland Maga on his final year project titled The Use of Google Meet as a Platform in ESL Classroom.
Hello and good day, everyone. My name is Daryl Billy Anak Roland Maga. My metric number is D2018-108-642. And my supervisor for this final project is Dr. Putri Zarina bin Megat Khalid. The title of my final year project is The Use of Google Meet as a Platform in ESL Classroom. Next, I'm going to talk about the problem statement of my research. The issue occurred because of the COVID-19 pandemic that hit us back in 2020. Therefore, during the COVID-19 era, all elements of education are required to innovate in the learning process. For example, physical classes are unable to be conducted, and online lesson is the way for us to conduct the lesson. Moreover, moving on to the purpose of this study. The purpose of this study is to identify the suitable online teaching and learning platform in ESL Classroom. Next is the research objective and the research question. Firstly, I'm going to tell about the research objective. The first research objective of this research is how suitable is Google Meet to be used by ESL teacher. And the second one would be what are the reasons for teachers to use Google Meet. Next, I'm going to talk about the research question. The first research question of my study is what type of social media platform is suitable to be used by teacher. And the second one would be what are the reasons for the teacher to use that particular type of social media platform. Okay, let's talk about literature review. The literature review of my research is, according to Nuriati 2020, Google Meet is the application that helps teachers provide students with resource, assignment, and guidance to address issue of critical thinking skill and poor student performance. Meanwhile, DARA 2020 explained Google Meet as a learning media that have advantages such as the video encrypted service, ensure that our data is not misused by any person thanks to the video encrypted service. Google Meet in providing this service to protect user privacy. No need to worry about the data thief and buying and selling. Next, I'm going to talk about the research methodology of this research. The research is conducted using the armchair research, also known as library study. The data collection method, there are more than 40 articles being analyzed to collect the data throughout this study. Meanwhile, the instrument used is the literature review, whereby each one of the selected 40 articles are being analyzed one by one to obtain the information needed for this study. And there are 40 journal articles being analyzed for the data that going to be used in this research. In addition, moving forward into the finding, after analyzing the data that I managed to obtain throughout this study, I found out that Google Meet is one of the most suitable teaching and learning for online ESL classroom based on few reasons. One of the reasons that I'm going to share is it provides features that others application does not provide. For example, Google Meet provide a breakout room where students can discuss with their friend without any disruption from anyone. And to conclude my presentation today, I would like to say that I would advise that Google Meet is one of the most suitable platform for all the educators out there to be used as an online teaching and learning platform due to the features that it comes with, since it benefit the teachers and also the student. That is all from me. Thank you.
Next presenter, Tivashini, anak perempuan Rengan, on her final year project titled The Use of Kahoot as a Tool to Enhance Students' Learning and Participation During Online Classrooms.
Hi, hello, and a very good day I bid to the respected panels as well as the virtual audience. My name is Tivashini Rengan with the metric ID D201810844745, and today I'll be presenting on my research topic, which is the use of Kahoot as a tool to enhance students' learning and participation during online classrooms. In my presentation today, I'll be focusing on the 5 chapters which I've included in my research paper. Chapter 1 would be the introduction, Chapter 2, literature review, Chapter 3, methodology, Chapter 4, data analysis, and finally Chapter 5, conclusion. In my introduction chapter, I have focused on 3 subtopics, which are the problem statement, the research objectives, as well as the research questions. In my problem statement subtopic, I have included on the proper reasons and justification on why I have chosen this particular topic to do my research. For instance, my problem would be the emphasis on digital teaching that has been a great challenge for teachers to retain interest among students during online classrooms. Thus, this research paper is actually to give an insight to the teachers on how does the inculcation of educational games like Kahoot could come in handy for them. Moving on to the research objectives of my paper is to examine the relationships between educational games like Kahoot, students' learning and participation during online classrooms. Also, to explore the ways on how Kahoot influences the online classroom dynamics. My research questions would be, how does the incorporation of educational games like Kahoot help to enhance students' learning and participation during online classroom, as well as how does Kahoot influence the online classroom dynamics? Moving on to my next chapter, which is the literature review. Basically, in this chapter, I have included six different subtopics, which are teaching aids, the theory and practice. Basically, this subtopic will be talking on the definition of teaching aids, the benefits of teaching aids, as well as the role of teaching aids in teaching and learning. The second subtopic would be the gamification, the theory and practice. Similarly, I will be giving a general overview on gamification technique in education, definition of game-based learning, as well as the benefits of game-based learning. My next subtopic would be Kahoot, digital game in 21st century, where it would be giving a general overview to the readers on the Kahoot application, additional features of Kahoot that can complement to teaching, as well as the benefits of Kahoot. My next subtopic focuses on the influence of Kahoot in students' learning, where I'll be elaborating further on the ways on how Kahoot helps to increase specifically the students' learning during online classrooms. On the other hand, I've also talked about the influence of Kahoot in students' participation, where it describes on the ways on how Kahoot helps to increase students' participation during online classrooms. Last subtopic for this chapter would be the drawback of Kahoot, where in this chapter I've included the limitations of Kahoot applications to be used during online classrooms. My chapter 3 would be the methodology, where in this chapter, similarly, I've included 5 different subtopics such as the research approach, research design, research procedure, data collection technique, and finally the data analysis. The next chapter would be the data analysis chapter, where basically this chapter discusses on how does my findings complement to the research questions that I have designed earlier. So as I have designed two different research questions, I've included studies based on this research question. So for instance, my first research question has three justifications on how does the incorporation of educational games like Kahoot help to enhance students' learning and participation during online classrooms. And my second research question also has three different points on how does Kahoot influence the online classroom dynamics. The last chapter would be the conclusion chapter, where in this chapter I've actually provided the conclusion based on the studies that I've done. So there are both advantages and disadvantages in incorporating Kahoot games during online classrooms. Thus, it is essential for a teacher to consider all the benefits as well as the drawbacks of this application to work on and rectify in order to ensure successful teaching and learning. That's all from me. Thank you.
Our final presenter, Jonathan Unjang Anak Bali, on his final year project titled The Exploration of Digital Tools Preference in Online ESL Classroom During COVID-19 Pandemic.
Good day everyone. So today I would like to present my final year projects entitled The Exploration of Digital Tools Preference in Online ESL Classroom During COVID-19 Pandemic. So my problem statement is the pre-service teacher need digital tools with traditional classroom vibe that can create more engagement and interaction between teachers and students. So this is my research objective and research question. For the literature review, I mostly done on the definition of online learning. What is online learning in primary school, in secondary school, and in higher institution? Definition of online learning I take from Aziz and HS 2021 that said online learning is any form of teaching and learning delivered through the use of digital technology. For the online learning in primary school, I take it from Perumal et al. In 2020. That said, primary school teachers in Malaysia prefer to study online because all learning material such as lecture notes and training, video tutorials and results are easily available from learning websites. For the online learning in secondary school, I take it from Chok et al. From 2017 that said there are few aspects related to implementation of e-learning in Malaysian school nationwide. The first of the most obvious is the most schools are not well equipped. Poor internet connection make it quite challenging for teachers to conduct online learning. Then for the online learning in higher institution, I take it from Kilgore and Northcote 2018 that said teachers are unable to develop the skills needed for effective online teaching due to such issues such as lack of ICT skills, unaware of the value of interaction in online courses, lack of time, lack of student self-regulation skills, difficulty meeting diverse students' needs, lack of knowledge on learning design, and change of teacher identity in an online context. Methodology in this research, I take questionnaire from pre-service teacher and students. There are 44 students and 13 pre-service teacher in suburban areas. The data from the questionnaire, I use descriptive analysis to analyze the data from the questionnaire. The data will include pre-service teachers and student perspective on the challenges and benefits of using digital tools and also their preferred digital tools to use for the student and the most similar digital tools vibe for the model tools that have the most vibe as close as to the traditional classroom for the teachers and the students. This research will try to find which digital tools that were used is the best solution to counter the interaction problems between students and pre-service teachers to make it as close as possible like the interactions during face-to-face classes in traditional classroom context. So my findings is that I find the similarity between digital tools and classroom vibe, and then the preferred digital tools by students and the challenges of digital tools that befall student and pre-service teacher and their benefits of the digital tools towards students and pre-service teacher. The similarity to classroom vibe of the digital tools. So for students, there are 44 of them. They choose Google Meet as the one that has similar vibe to the traditional classroom, and the pre-service teachers preferred also Google Meet. There are 9 of the preferred digital tools by students is that 62.1 of them from 43 responses choose Google Meet. Challenges during online classes for students is that the first and the second one is lack of focus during class, and then there are many distractions like their siblings and their family. Challenges during online classes for pre-service teachers, I use the TPEC is Technological, Pedagogical Content and Knowledge Readiness for the teachers. All of the teachers, around 50+%, half of them, say that they are ready in terms of. Now we move on to the benefits of digital tools to students and pre-service teachers. As a student, they choose Google Meet as their preferred digital tools that give them the benefit the most in terms of online learning. So the features for the student is that they like is that the comment section and the chat box, there are 24 of them that like that, and also camera and microphone on off buttons. Move on to the benefits of the digital tools to pre-service teachers is that pre-service teacher they choose Google Meet the most, and some of them choose Padlet. For the research limitation, this research is limited to pre-service teachers only, and also students from the class that they taught during their teaching practice.
We hope you have gained knowledge from our presenters. Please do join us for the keynote speaker session that will begin in a few minutes. Thank you and see you there.